Hello and welcome to the Google Ads Strategy Show, where today I'm going to be asking the questions, a departure from the normal format because I have a very special guest with me. And my guest's name is Callum Davies. He comes from the agency that he runs and owns called Illuminate Digital, specializing in medical clients. Today specifically we'll be talking about stuff that he's doing for dentists and orthodontists. Callum also is the author of the book, The Must-Have Guide to Google AdWords. So I'm excited to talk to you today, Callum. Welcome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're actually my first guest. So I've done over 50 episodes now and decided it was time to bring some other people on and get some other perspectives. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. So just to get things started here, Callum, how did you get into Google Ads?
It's interesting because back in, it was May 2016. And that was when I first found out about marketing and agency. Well, before that, I wasn't doing anything related to business. And so immediately that was to do with Facebook ads. So originally we were doing Facebook ads. And problem with Facebook ads was retention. And so it kind of got to June 2017. And a mentor of mine at the time said, a guy called Fred Lamb, most of his clients, he was retaining them for at least 12 to 18 months was from Google AdWords. So I was like, okay, that could be interesting. And that was effectively it. You know, I made the switch from Facebook ads over to Google AdWords directly from there and have never looked back. And yeah, client results are through the roof as a result of that switch. So that was an interesting change.
So now are you still doing anything with Facebook ads or anything else, or is it
Well,
just Google ads?
well, the thing is that with Facebook ads, the issue I found is retention. And so I've been looking everywhere to find someone who is actually able to do it and retain clients for more than 12 months with Facebook ads. I've managed to find one guy. You'd think, you know, there's 7 billion people on the planet. I would have found more than one, but we're going to implement that into the agency. But in terms of just me, no, it's just Google AdWords for now. It's, you know, the client results are by far the best with Google AdWords, especially for the medical and legal sectors. So we don't see any reason to kind of move away from that. So,
Okay. And
yeah.
how did you get into serving those sectors that you mentioned?
Oh, that's a great question. So originally, I was starting out with gyms, right? Because I was heavily into fitness, so it made logical sense. Okay, we'll just start with, you know, gyms and CrossFit gyms and stuff like that, right? And then somebody just briefly off the cuff one time on a like a training call that we were doing said, you know, have you considered doing chiropractors? And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. I've not considered doing the medical sector before, and this was back in, you know, early 2017. And so we started doing work with chiropractors, and then we just, after that, we just said, okay, well, why don't we switch to dental? Because there's a lot more dentists for us to go after. And out of that, we stumbled on orthodontics. Like, we didn't actually mean to actively go after orthodontists. It just, we so happened to work with an orthodontist client. And that was where I realized, wow, I mean, orthodontists in many cases are better for Google AdWords than dentists are. And that was just kind of really where that started from. So yeah.
So it sounds like you're pretty focused right now, but still somewhat diverse in the types of clients you have. What makes dentists and orthodontists different than other industries? How do you need to treat those types of accounts differently?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the biggest thing about medical is negative keywords. Because what I see when I look at accounts, mostly of up and coming clients, when I look at their accounts, usually what I'll see is an enormous amount of money spent on irrelevant terms, more so competitors. And the reason is with medical is because there's 3 to 4 different ways somebody can search for a practice, because obviously you've got the actual practice itself, then you've got the doctor's name, then you've just got doctor and then the person's first name and then just the person's name. So effectively, you need to be infinitely more thorough with your negative keyword list. And that was the mistake we made early on. You know, we largely did a lot of irrelevant terms, but we missed out on most of the competitors, and waste a lot of money as a result. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is, especially with these niches, and especially with chiropractic, if anyone's interested in that niche, is that typically females will respond a lot better than males will. Meaning what we normally will do is we'll separate male and female campaigns out. And typically the female campaigns will not only produce a lot more conversions, but they'll produce them at a much better cost per conversion as well. So that's really the main differences. I mean, the rest is just fundamentals, understanding the industry in terms of writing high quality ad copy. But for the most part, it's really those two things. Most people don't really seem to know about those. And yeah, they're a huge factor. Huge.
Yeah, let me go back to what you said about adding competitors as negative keywords.
Yeah, sure.
I'm on the same page with you there. That's something that I teach. But a lot of people think you should do the opposite. You should, target your competitors because you want to steal business from them, right? Business owners want to do this all the time. So why is that not a strategy that you use? And why is it better just to exclude those searches?
Oh man, we used to take that same approach as well. You were actually the person that convinced me otherwise on this. So it's so basically what we found is that if you just leave competitors altogether, you don't exclude them as negative search terms, what will happen is your ad will show up for one of your competitors. And what happens is that when a potential customer searches for that competitor and your ad shows up, they click on your ad thinking that you're that competitor. And as a result, you've now wasted money. And typically competitive terms, they're not cheap. They can range $10, $20, $30 a click for one competitive term. And it just doesn't lead to quality customers. If a potential customer is searching for a competitor and then they click on your ad, the chances of them moving from that competitor over to you is effectively slim to none. Like I was talking about this with a client actually earlier on today on Zoom, and he was debating the same thing with me. And I said, well, at the end of the day, it just doesn't produce high quality customers. That's just the reality of it. So as a result, and it wastes more money than it does good. So that's the reason that we don't take that strategy. We've tried it both ways, and I can tell you, having an infinitely extensive negative keyword list with all of the competitors on it is really the key. So
yeah, okay. Now, so either consciously or unconsciously, I'm sure having multiple clients in the same niche helps you perform as an agency. What do you think the benefits to that are, to having multiple clients in the same industry? How does that help you service all of them better?
Well, one thing is for sure is that the main thing I would say is really around two things that surround keywords and ad copy. Because at the end of the day, if you've got an orthodontist in, say, Los Angeles, for example, and then you have an orthodontist in, say, I don't know, Austin, Texas, for the sake of argument, and then you get new search terms from your search term report, which pop up on the Austin, Texas, you can then apply that over to the client in Los Angeles as well. That's the first thing that you can do. The second thing that you can do is you're always testing different forms of ad copy. You're always trying to beat your main control, which is obviously producing the most customers. And if you find something that works really well for the client in Austin, you can then apply that over to the client in Los Angeles, right? So again, it's effectively you get a holistic perspective of the industry as a whole when you work with clients from multiple different cities in the same niche, right? If you had, let's say, for example, you had a divorce attorney in Los Angeles and then you had the orthodontist in Austin, again, there's no real synergy between the two. You can't really apply one thing over to the next thing because they're completely different. So it's a huge advantage, absolutely, having it working with the same industry for sure. Yeah.
Since you've been working specifically regarding dentists, orthodontists, since you've been helping them, have you noticed any changes to how you need to approach campaigns? Have things gotten easier, harder, more competitive? And how have you had to adjust for those types of changes?
I wouldn't say that there's been any enormous changes, especially over the last 6 months, like with regard to those industries? I mean, the only thing that I would say is, and I find that this is not particularly known, is that the one thing we have found is that orthodontists typically do much better with Google AdWords than dentists do if you're focusing on like Invisalign specifically. Because with orthodontists, if someone types in orthodontist into Google and the city, there's only two things that an orthodontist does: braces and Invisalign. If someone types in dentist Los Angeles, there's like 6 different services that they offer. So if you're talking about service specific and getting, specific types of customers for an orthodontist or a dentist, orthodontists are going to be much better. And that's the big change that we've seen. This is one of the reasons now, we're working less and less with dentists on the Google AdWords side and focusing more on orthodontists, because it's a lot easier to structure, better offers, and it's a lot easier to get, specifically Invisalign patients for orthodontists. So that's one of the things that I would say is the big change we've seen over the last 6 months. Definitely. That would be the biggest.
Okay. Is there anything harder about doing orthodontist campaigns compared to dentist campaigns?
No, I would say orthodontists are actually easier. Because, when somebody is actively looking for an orthodontist, there's only 2 things that they offer at the end of the day. And
Mhm.
most people in the modern age now, just simply because of mass media, are kind of moving away from braces, ceramic braces, metal braces. So many people now are focusing more on Invisalign anyway. So for the most part, when people are looking for an orthodontist, largely they're looking, for Invisalign, and it's right there. So it's a lot easier. But whereas somebody looks for a dentist, there's so many different things that a dentist actually offers. So it's a lot easier to say to an orthodontist, we're going to focus on getting you Invisalign patients this month, compared to a dentist, because, somebody types in dentist, there's so many different things. There's so many different things that they could want. So that would be it. Orthodontists are definitely easier to get great results for than dentists, at least right now.
Okay.
So
Um, so you've kind of touched on this, and maybe you'll mention something you've already mentioned, or maybe you'll give me a new answer. But question is, what is the biggest mistake that you see dentists or orthodontists make when they try to do things themselves? They try to set up their own ads. What's the biggest mistake that they're making?
oh, there's too many. But I would say it comes down to negative keywords again. They're just not thorough enough. And I mean, we can sit here and say that dentists and orthodontists themselves aren't thorough enough, but most agencies aren't thorough enough with the negative keywords that need to be applied for these types of clients. Because when you're dealing with a doctor, and that practice, there's like 3 to 4 different ways that somebody could search for that competitor. So what it means is that most campaigns that I see, 70% of their budget every month is largely going on, competitive search terms, because they've not excluded them. So I would say that is the biggest mistake, 150% that I see. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's many other mistakes, but that would definitely be the biggest for sure.
Sure. And again, with this next question, you've touched on some things, but let's focus it in now. And what are the top 3 things that dentists or orthodontists should be doing with their Google ads? What should they be focusing on?
Well, the first thing is they need a thorough negative keyword list. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that they need beyond anything. The second thing that that I see is not enough keywords. So we're saying not enough negative keywords. That's the first thing. But the second thing is not enough keywords. Like, we made this mistake before we used the keyword burst tool, which is an incredible tool, by the way. Everybody listening should use it. It's an incredible tool, but there's effectively most dentists and orthodontists, they don't use enough keywords, which means they miss out on a lot of traffic that, quite frankly, they should be getting, because there's not enough density to the amount of keywords that they have. They might be using 50 keywords when in reality they should be using at least 200. They're just missing out on so much traffic, and too much of their money is being wasted on irrelevant, crappy terms. And then the third thing that we've seen is, I'm gonna have to add a fourth thing. The third thing would be conversion tracking, 150%. Abso-freaking-lutely. If they don't set that up properly, then they can't optimize the campaigns properly. And then the final thing would be ad copy. If you look at most orthodontists and most dentists, the ad copy that they have is very general, and it's just, to be honest, very bland. There's no real excitement to it, and the offers that they're putting forth in that ad copy is no good either. So ad copy would be the fourth thing. Absolutely, those four things would be the top four things I need to focus on for sure.
Do you work on landing pages at all for clients, or do you just do the ads?
Yeah. So with the landing page, we tested unbounce, we tested lead pages, we tested just going to the client's website, we tested building landing pages in the client's website, and by far, what is by far the best is your landing page template, without a shadow of a doubt. I think the highest we got to on those other three was about 15% conversion rate. Now the average with your ClickFunnels template is about 25 to 30%. So, and that's all we do, and it works. It works extremely well, and the client's very, very happy. Sometimes clients say, well, how come you're not running it through my website? Why are you using, ClickFunnels or whatever? And we say, well, at the end of the day, sending people to a website, again, most of the time they get lost on the page. It's like a maze. The analogy I use, it's like a maze instead of, they usually get lost, whereas the ClickFunnels page acts as like running in a straight line. It's very, very easy for the potential customer to know, okay, well, I call this or I submit a form, and as a result, it converts much better. So we do that, and again, it works really, really well. So
sure. And I didn't pay Callum to say any of that, and I will put the link to that landing page. It's available. I'll give you guys the link to that if you want it. Check the description on YouTube or the show notes for the podcast, wherever you're listening to this, and you can check that out. So Callum, are you plugging your own copy into the landing page then? And is that kind of mirroring what you're doing with the Google ad copy?
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. I mean, the biggest thing that we found is we make sure that the offer that we've put forth in the ad copy is, accentuated enormously on the landing page. And I think that's one of the main reasons that it converts so well. And then social proof at the bottom. I mean, we used to look at so many different angles at the end of the day, but what we found works best is high quality offer from the ad, which is then accentuated on the landing page, and then emphasizing social proof on the landing page. That, at the end of the day, has just worked better, by far the best, especially when we're talking about online advertising as a whole. I mean, again, one of the nice things we like about ClickFunnels, again, is it's very easy to add new things on the page. Like originally we were using 4 different testimonials on the page. Now we're testing with 6, and we notice an increase in conversion rate. So that's all we do. That's all we do. It's simple, but it's extremely effective. So
this has been great. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have? Anything else you think would be helpful for people watching or listening to hear?
What I would say is, with regards to how long does it take to get results, right, for campaigns, I think is a useful thing to kind of let people know about, because we've been debating this and looking at this over the past 12 months and really kind of getting inside of this and thinking, well, for a local business, an orthodontist, a dentist, typically, how long does it take to see high quality results? And this is what we've said. We've said 90 days. Because for some clients, for whatever reason, you turn the campaigns on, you don't really do much with them. And customers, they just flow in like within the first week or two. Like you've just have some campaigns which do extremely well immediately and continue to do well, right? Whereas we've seen other campaigns which the first 60 days, they completely bomb and lose money. And then that final 30 days up to 90 days, they completely kill it. So what I would say, if you're an agency owner working with these types of clients, or you're an actual medical practitioner listening to this, the main thing is 90 days. If anybody tells you that it takes longer than 90 days, I mean, that's just simply not true. Sometimes it's immediate. You see results immediately. You see customers within the first week. Other times it takes 90 days to see any real return on your money back. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say, really setting your expectations on that. So.
Right. Especially with a business like an orthodontist, there's not a ton of search volume. So
Yeah.
it's not like you're getting 10 leads every day, right? It's more like, how many leads are you getting per week on average or per month? Like, those are the questions. So when you're dealing with smaller numbers, yeah, it can take longer to get results sometimes. It just depends on how the numbers work out for each specific client.
Well, and I was saying this to a client. I was saying this to them on Monday. I was saying, well, at the end of the day, with a local business specifically, the mindset is completely different. And I told them, you can't fret if you don't see any calls on one day. Like some days you'll get like 5 calls, other days you won't get any. So it's just really making sure that the expectations are set properly, and that, just making sure that they're done properly. Okay. Because some days you'll see 5 calls, and then the next day you think, holy crap, we got 5 calls yesterday. We're going to see at least 5 today, and you don't get any. That's just kind of the nature of Google AdWords, So, but the main thing is you look at it, every single week. You look at it on a monthly basis, and you kind of get a much better perspective of the success of the campaign, rather than looking at it every single day, getting, really annoyed if no calls come in. So that's what I would say for that. I used to do that, so it's not good. It's not good.
Well, this has been very insightful, Callum. Where should people go if they want to get in touch with you?
I would say the best place right now would be LinkedIn. Just search for my name, Callum Davies, and then it's just ID on the end for Illuminate Digital, and you'll find me immediately. That would definitely be the best place for people to reach out to me, is on LinkedIn for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for coming on.
No problem, man. Thanks so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and this has been the Google Ads Strategy Show. I'm your host, Kyle Sulerud, and I will talk to you later.